Uh, Hope the presentation is visible, the slide is visible, and my voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So, yeah, time's up. So let's start. Give me a second. So, yeah, okay. So, I think our last session, we had a new topic to discuss about. It was uh, how to maximize the supply chain or logistic efficiency through vendor management, or like how to maximize the uh, retailing efficiency through vendor management. So let me give you a quick glance of what are all the important topics we have overview, or just we have discussed. uh, Let me change the slide. Yes, we have started off with what is the meaning and definition of a vendor management. So it's a process of coordinating plus overseeing relationships with third party suppliers. So these suppliers, they can be either the suppliers of the required materials for the organization, or they may be suppliers for the organization who will be taking the deliveries from the companies and providing it to the consumers. So either way, they are considered as vendors. So there is you can see a thin line of difference between an original supplier and a vendor. So suppliers are the suppliers who supply raw materials or the required materials and components for the production purpose for the the companies. Uh, but vendors, on the other hand, they can either be the suppliers of raw materials, they are considered as vendors, or they can be the suppliers of the finished goods which are produced by these companies. So they stand as the intermediaries between the company and the consumers. It is they are responsible for the delivery of the product, or movement of the product from the manufacturing zone to the offline market or to the online market. So either way, they are called as vendors. Clear? So this is the the difference between the actual supplier and a vendor. But mostly in most cases, especially in few industries, vendor and suppliers are considered one and the same. But actually, there is a difference. So these vendors, they are the third party suppliers to ensure not directly the the company's employees. They are not the direct company's employees. They are the third party suppliers. So what do they do? So they ensure the timely delivery of goods or services that meet quality, cost, compliance standards. So the management, vendor management is all about selecting the right vendors. That is from the company's point of view. So selecting the right vendors, negotiating the contracts with those vendors, monitoring the performance of the vendors. So there is how quickly and efficiently they do move the products from the company premises to the market, offline or online market. So how do they perform? How fast and how efficiently they move the product? So company, they have to monitor the performance and managing the risk called in the movement of products, handling of the products, and fostering long-term partnerships. So here we mentioned vendors. These vendors can be, like the retailers, the wholesalers, the distributors, or it can be, like the market agents, commission agents. So whoever is responsible to move the products, that is in responsible of taking hold of the products and moving it to the market for selling it to the consumer. They are considered as vendors. Okay. So we have we discussed more about what is a vendor management and how it helps the supply chain industry, and especially in logistics. So then what an effective vendor management it does for a business. It enables the businesses, the companies, to mitigate risk and ensure quality through the supply chain. So they are the main role players in the supply chain, because most of the companies, they don't directly deal with their customers, consumers. Actually, they don't directly sell it to their consumers, unless and otherwise it is a consumer, unless and otherwise it is a company outlet. If it is a company outlet, then it means the company is directly selling its products to its consumers, right? Otherwise, in other cases, it's the vendor's responsibility, like retailers, wholesalers, distributors, market agents, commission agents. So these vendors, they have the responsibility of taking ownership of the products and then delivering it to the consumers. So understanding these components will provide a framework for successful vendor partnership with the company. So how this VM helps, other than the few points we have discussed as of now, like how VM helps. So selecting how the management, vendor management will help the company. So it helps them in selecting the right vendors, and they categorize vendors to ensure the right contract metrics and relationships, and determine the ideal number of vendors. Because the companies, it cannot go with selecting all type of vendors at once. Either they should be dealing with that is wholesalers alone, or they should be dealing with retailers alone, or either they should be dealing with distributors, but not everyone. Unless and otherwise, if it is a company which is producing bulk components, like in thousands, or maybe maybe in lakhs, the component might be a single component, or like one or two components. The products will be one or two products, but in that case, if they are manufacturing it in bulk, then yes, they can go with all types of vendors. And otherwise, it is safe for the company to deal with either one type of a vendor, either with retailers alone, or with wholesalers alone, or with distributors alone. So that is the safest way to play in the market. So mitigating risk while using vendors, and establish a vendor management team that best fits the enterprise. So vendor management helps the companies, helps the organizations in performing all these functions. Then we have seen, like what is a vendor, what is a supplier. So how supplier differs from the vendor, and selecting the right vendor. So what are the criteria to select the right vendors, and what is the process involved in selecting the right vendor? Yes, and building vendor relationships. So all these are like the generalized topics we were discussing. So today's session we will be like discussing little more points about each and every topic. So that's what we are going to do. So building vendor relationships, how to build a vendor relationship, whether it's a short-term period, contract period, or for a long-term contract period, or whatever it is. So how to build a strong vendor that is enterprise vendor relationship. So how like what steps have to be taken? What is the process involved in that? Then monitoring the vendor performance. So using the KPIs and like SLAs and like all these techniques, how to monitor the performance of the vendors. Like if the company is dealing with wholesalers alone, like tracking their performance. So how frequently these wholesalers are moving the products which has been bought from the manufacturer. So how fastly they are moving those products, that is reselling those products to the retailers, and how fast the retailers are like efficiently they are selling the products to the consumers. So how the company's brand is established in the market through these vendors. So that performance, like that will be monitored by the company. And whenever there is a requirement, the company helps these vendors with managing their supply chain. Because once a product moves out of the company, it belongs to these vendors. Okay? Because they are paying for it, and they have taken the responsibility of the product. They have paid the company, and they have taken the ownership of the product, taken the responsibility of the product. But though the responsibility has been transferred, the ownership has been transferred, still the company can involve up to a certain point, like how their brand has to be established in the market. They can help these vendors. Okay, adaptability in vendor management. So the external environment, the market is a dynamic one. It keeps on changing, right? So no market is what do you say? No, it's static for quite some time. No, it's very dynamic. It's volatile. It keeps on changing. New trends, like arise each and every time. today there may be like a trend, and tomorrow there may be another trend. So it's a very dynamic environment, market environment out there. So adapting to those external changes, like that is like the key requirement for like any companies to make the sustainability happen. If their product wants to get moved in the market without being declined, so adaptability is the only way to do. So how these vendors can help to like the companies with like cope up with those adaptability, because uh, these vendors or the people or the groups who are directly dealing with the consumers, right? So they know the pulse of the consumers. So I go and purchase from a retail outlet. I don't go to a company's manufacturing unit and I don't purchase a product. This concept applies with everyone, right? Whether it's like a car, or whether it's a small hook or nail, whatever it is. So we go to the retailers, we go to like online or offline market, we go to the wholesalers if we want to buy something very bulk, and then we go to like distributors. Like if you want to buy a certain product of a certain brand, so we go to distributors. We don't deal with the company, direct company. We don't go to them directly. We don't go to their manufacturing place to buy their product. We usually deal with these vendors, right? So it's the vendors who know the pulse of the consumers, of their customers or the consumers. So whatever I have the feedback about the product, like I can directly, convey it to the vendor from whom I'm purchasing. If it is an online purchase, I can give my feedback. Even if it is an offline purchase, I can give my feedback. I can share my opinion on the product. I can share the my opinion about the product features, or like how it's going to help me, or the warranty or guarantee period. Everything about the product I can share it with the vendor from whom I'm purchasing. So these vendors so collect all those feedbacks and they pass to the company. They give those information, this data from the consumers. It's collected by these vendors, and they give it to the company for research and development process. So next time, for example, if the more than 50 or 60% of a consumer base is like requiring some upgradation in the product, so definitely that is going to be considered by the companies, right? If this information goes to the company's R&D department. So that's how it works. So adaptability to the external environment, the market environment, the dynamic market, the changing market, and adaptability to the consumer's expectation. So this is more important, and vendor management helps the enterprises in for like getting adapted to the external environment. Then we have seen what is a vendor performance model. So I think till this slide we have discussed last week. So let's move on to the remaining points as well. Okay. So what is the characteristics of a vendor management? Say, imagine you're in a procurement team, or like you're working in a purchasing department of an organization. So you're the person who will be like dealing with the vendors, or you're like sales and marketing, so you will be like dealing with the vendors, whether it's like purchasing the raw materials from a group of vendors, or like you're dealing with other vendors like who are moving the products from the company, like retailers and like wholesalers. So imagine like you're working in such type of an environment. You're working in that department. So what would be the characteristics of vendor? How will you manage the vendor relationship from the company point of view? How will you manage the vendor relationship? The first one is strategic selection, choosing the right vendors based on quality, reliability, cost alignment with the business. So business goals of the company, objectives of the company should align with the vendors. It is not like if the company wants to move a certain goods, want to sell a certain goods before a stipulated time, maybe for the forthcoming season, the vendors should be able to do it for you. So such type of vendors you need to like get acquainted with. So that is how the vendor and enterprise relationship works. So strategy selection, their strategy and the company strategy, enterprise strategy should be like one and the same. And clear communication. There should be very clear and precise communication between your department and the vendor and the vendors. Everything should be like very clear, whether it's like discussing about the price, the cost involved, or whether it's about the quality of the product, or like the whatever whatever factors which is related to the supply of goods, or like the supply of like any other services which is related to the goods. So that has to be a clear communication. So establishing transparent and consistent communication channels for expectations, deliverables, and feedback. The third one is contract management. So it's better to have a contract with a vendor, because like you cannot keep on changing the vendor for each and every season. Only like unless and otherwise, if you're dealing with like small time projects, or like small time manufacturing. Say for example, you focus only with like a particular season, and you don't focus in producing the products for other seasons. So usually like procure at a certain period in a year, you produce it into a product, and you sell it in a particular season. Then there is no other production going on, so you're waiting for the next season. If your company is like following this strategy, then you can, yes, you can go with like different types of vendors for each and every season for selling your product. Or otherwise, if your company is not like the dealing is not into like focusing on particular season in a year, so you're okay with like selling your products any time in a year, any season in a year, yes, then you have to be like it's better to have a contract with the vendor, a minimum contract period, like at least for 6 months, or for 3 months, or for 1 year, or for the upcoming season at least, no. So that should be a contract. So managing the contract, creating and maintaining well-defined contracts that cover scope, timelines, pricing, and service levels. For timelines, so that is also an important factor. Performance monitoring, regularly assessing vendor performance through KPIs, SLAs, and feedback mechanisms. So closely monitoring their performance. So how efficiently they are like moving the products to the consumers. Risk mitigation, identifying, assessing, and managing potential risks related to compliance, delivery, and financial stability. Because uh, the prices may like keep on fluctuating in the market. Like for making the products, making the things to happen, like the companies may like go on with the strategy of like increasing the price or decreasing the price. So finally it's the vendor's choice. The company is not go directly going to increase the price of the product, but it's a vendor's choice to like either to increase a product or decrease the price of the product. Depends upon the cost and other factors. So risk mitigation will be there. If they are like required to sell the products at a very lower price, then that would be a loss for the vendors, because they would have purchased the products from your enterprise at a higher price. So if they are selling it in a lower price, that would be like a loss for them. In those cases, like you have to uh, go with the negotiation and of the like the pricing factor and the risk mitigation factor. So all these characteristics, like they are of the vendor, like how to efficiently manage the vendors. We have more points as well. Relationship building, developing collaborative long-term relationships that encourage trust, innovation, and mutual growth. So your enterprise grows, along with that, your vendor also grows. So that is the like the decent way of like having a business. It's not that like only your enterprise is growing, or only vendors are growing. It's not like only they are making money. So your enterprise is making money because of vendors, and vendors makes money because of your enterprise. So that should be a mutual growth. Cost control, ensuring vendor services are cost effective while maintaining quality and value. Especially, like um, the differences will come between the company, enterprises, and the vendor, especially when it comes to like advertising the product. I have seen like I have heard about like many cases where when for advertising, see, either the vendor can advertise a product, or sometimes the company can also advertise a product. So if the company is advertising the product, it would be like in a grand manner. Grand manner in the sense like they will be ready to spend a lot. The company will be like ready to spend a lot. So they will like give advertisements. They will like they will be like releasing television commercials, and they may keep hoardings and banners like in the what do you say like on the roads and everything. So they do it like extensively. So extensive advertisement happens and expensive advertisement happens through the companies. But vendors, they don't do expensive advertisements, not extensive advertisements. So they make it as like in a minimum level. So in those cases, like many difference of opinion, like it may. So compliance and governance, making sure vendors adhere to legal, regulatory, and ethical standards. So many standards are there to maintain, especially like when it comes to sustainability, and like when it comes to like sticking on to environmental factors. Not only the company, not only your enterprise, but the vendors also, they are also supposed to strictly stick on to the sustainability factor. They shouldn't pollute the environment. They shouldn't like discard the waste just like that into the environment. So many factors are there, many legal formalities are there, so they have to adhere to it. Issue resolution, implementing structured processes for handling disputes or service failures efficiently. If there is an issue, whatever may be the reason, if there is an issue between the vendors and the consumers, because of the product, because of the service, or if there is an issue between the vendors and your enterprises, so smoothly it has to be resolved. Then continuous improvement, encouraging innovation and ongoing process optimization through vendor feedback and performance reviews. So vendor feedback, where do they collect the feedback? From the consumers. So after getting their feedback, the consumers' feedback through these vendors, so like the company has like time to enough time and like enough the required factors to give the best product, like better than the previous one, or best service better than the previous one to their consumers, whatever their expectations. So vendor selection criteria, on what points you will select the right kind of vendor, that is your department. If you're in the procurement department or a purchasing department or a sales department, marketing department, so how do you like select the right vendor for your enterprise? First criterion you have to look up to is quality of products and services. It is consistency, reliability, adherence to required standards. If your vendor is meeting all those things, yes, you can rely on that. Cost competitiveness. So you have to have like a list of vendors in your hand. So compare everything from like the cost which is involved, or how much your company is going to like spend for moving the products to their location, to the vendor location, or any kind of service, after sales service, or like any kind of service which comes along with the product. Mostly it will be free of cost. The product comes with the price, but the service comes as free of cost to the consumer and to the vendor as well. So it should be like cost competitive. Delivery capability, timely delivery, and the ability to meet deadlines consistently. Reputation and references, they should have like a decent reputation in the market. If a company deals with like any kind of vendor who doesn't have like, or any kind of a vendor agency which doesn't have a decent name in the market, then there is a risk in like moving your products to the consumer. So your brand, the company brand, will may get affected. So you have to be very careful in that. So reputation and references of the like the vendors, that's more important. So if your company is looking into a new market, that is your target market is like a new location, something new. So you don't know about the place much, because your company doesn't know about that new place. Then only get references, like from the local market, from the other experts, get the references and select the right kind of vendor. Financial stability. So solid financial background ensuring long-term viability. So the vendor shouldn't always be dependent on your company for like spending for each and everything. So they should also be financially stable for few few factors, for few reasons. So compliance and certifications. If they do have some certifications, if they are certified vendors, that's well and good for your company. So if your company is an established one, standard one, you're dealing a product, no, like which influences the consumers, say, like their life a lot, then it's always to go with a vendor who is has got a good decent certification. Certification in the sense, like any certification. If your product is say a food product, then deal with a vendor, who has got the required certification. So their warehousing and their warehouses, their transportation vehicles, and their other required resources. So everything should be should meet the compliance standards. So select such kind of vendors. Technological capabilities. The use of modern tools, systems, or innovations that add value. Especially if your company, your department is using softwares, applications like a CRM or ERP, SAP for vendor management. It's good for them. It's good for your company if your vendor also knows how to handle the the software. So if they have a certain if they have the required staff who can deal with the software, who can work in that software application, it's well and good, because they know the technology, so it's easy for your company to communicate with it. Easy for your department to communicate with the vendor through the software itself, through technology itself. So every time you don't have to call them or send them a physical document for getting any kind of approval or something. Then finally, customer support and service, responsiveness, problem resolution, and post-sale support. So it's a vendors who will be giving a post-sale support and a pre-sale support as well. So there should be good responsive system from the vendors. They should immediately attend to a consumer. They shouldn't make the consumer wait for a longer time. And if consumer asks too much about doubts about the product, they should be able to answer, clarify the doubts of the consumer. So for that reason, they should have a complete knowledge about the product first. For example, if a company is dealing with laptops and they have selected a distributor for selling their laptops to the consumer. So the dealership, the people working in the dealership, all the service personnel in the dealership or the distributorship, so they should be well aware of the product, well aware of the computer, or how it's going to work, the components of the computer, the hardware, the software, everything. They should be aware of it. They should know about the technology. So customer support and service, so that is also a criteria for selecting the right kind of vendor. Okay, now we have to see the types of vendors. So what are the different types of vendors? Manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, service providers, independent contractors, value-added sellers, original equipment manufacturers, dropshippers. So let's see each and every one. So all these type of vendor can be finally classified into three categories. Either they would be dealing with directly with the consumer, that is business to consumer, or they would be dealing with business to the government, or they would be dealing with business to business. This either they would be dealing with directly with the consumers, or directly with the governments, or directly with other businesses. So manufacturer, that is the first type of vendor. They produce and sell goods directly to businesses, or in very few cases directly to consumers. That is through their factory outlets, they may sell directly to the consumers. So then wholesalers and distributors. So what these wholesalers and distributors do, they buy in bulk from the manufacturers and resell to the retailers or other businesses. Now, there is a difference between wholesalers, distributors, and brokerage agents. Wholesalers, distributors, they buy directly from the company. Directly, if your company is a manufacturing company, you're manufacturing a product. It can be for assembly. You have your company is having an assembly unit, whatever it is. So these wholesalers or distributors, they buy the products from you, buy the service from you, and they resell it to the retailers. And distributors, they may resell it directly to the consumers. That is, they pay for the product, take the ownership of the product, and then resell it. But in case of commission agents and brokerage agents, or no, like the other agents in the market, they don't take the ownership of the product. Means they don't pay for the product. So what they do is they connect your company directly with these vendors or directly with the consumers or with other retailers. So they connect you, your enterprise, and with the other vendors in the market. And for each and every product which is moved from your company to those vendors, they will get the commission for that. Either it can be for per unit, or it can be for per lot, or whatever system they follow. So they get money out of it. That's how they make. So they don't take responsibility, or they don't take ownership of the product, but wholesalers, distributors, retailers, they do take ownership of the product. That is, the ownership of the product, it gets transferred from your company to these wholesalers, distributors, and retailers, because they pay to your company and buy it, and they take the responsibility, they take the ownership. Then is the retailers, we all know, because mostly we purchase almost all our products from the retailers, whether it's offline retailers or online retailers, mostly we go with retailers. So they sell products directly to end consumers or customers, often in smaller quantities. So from whom these retailers buy the product, procure the product, either from the manufacturers directly, or from the wholesalers, or from the distributors. Then service providers. So they offer intangible services. That is which cannot be, not the product, which can be touched and felt and which can be seen, but other things, which comes along with the product. The other services like IT support, consulting, counseling, logistics, facility management. So these service providers are also considered as vendors. Then independent contractors and freelancers. So provide specialized services on a project, a particular project. So once the project is over, so they will not be connected with the company anymore. And otherwise your company wants them for other projects, or if it is they are going to hire them for a long-term contract, they will stay with your company for a long time. That is, they will be connected to your company for a long time. Otherwise, once a project is over, or once a season is over, the connection goes off. So independent contractors and freelancers. Then value-added sellers, VARs. Enhance a product before reselling it, often building with services, the software resellers. So they enhance the product. That is not they add more value to the product. What you can say is, say a mobile sellers, okay, say retailers, or distributors, or an outlet agents, or whoever it may be. So they are selling mobiles of a particular brand, or they are dealing with 2-3 brands, say Nokia, Samsung, and Vivo, whatever it is. So what enhancement value add service they can give along with the product is, they can give a mobile case cover. That is a value added product, right? So they can give it for free of cost, or they can give it say they can charge a little more than the actual price or actual cost of the mobile, and you can buy it along with. So value added services, and they can give you a beautiful packaging. They can give the product in a beautiful packaging, and that's also a value added service. And they can give you after sales service. So if you have a complaint in your mobile which was purchased from that particular vendor, you can go to them and ask for service. So such things are value added services, and the vendors which provide them are called value added resellers. Then original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, they provide components or products that are used in other companies' end product. That is, other company end product, so they resell it. That is, spare parts providers, spare part retailers. So they are original equipment manufacturers. Then drop shippers, finally, these this logistics people who deals with transportation of the products, drop shippers, they fulfill customer orders directly on behalf of the retailer without holding the inventory. They don't hold the inventory, but they are responsible for the inventory when they are carrying it in their vehicle. So these are the types of vendors we normally see in the market. Now, let's have a closer look at the supplier versus vendor difference. There is more differences under few criteria. First, let's start with the definition. So, who is a supplier? They provide raw materials, components, or products for production, whereas vendors, they sell finished goods or services often directly to the end users. So position in supply chain. Where do these suppliers stand? What position they hold in supply chain? So these suppliers, they position themselves in the upstream, that is involved in the initial stages of production because they supply the raw materials for production. Vendors, they deal with the downstream, that is closer end to the customer. They move the products from the company to the customer or the consumer. The next criteria is nature of goods. So suppliers, they deal with raw materials, parts, spare parts or components, whatever it is. But vendors, mostly they deal with finished goods and services related to the goods. Customer type. Mostly suppliers, they deal with business to business. Most of the cases, 95% of the suppliers, they deal with business to business, but vendors, they may deal with business to business and business to consumer as well. Relationship focus. So suppliers, you can have it for a long time because they should keep on supplying the products for the production for your company so that the production doesn't stop. It doesn't cease. It can it keeps on going and your company can keep on producing the product or the service and your company can sell it in the market and make profit, right? So suppliers usually they are with sometimes mostly they will be having a long-term relationship with the company unless and otherwise you find a new supplier which is who are more comfortable for your company in dealing with. If they supply more quality products at little lower price, yes, your company can change the strategy. They can stick on to the new supplier, but most of the cases they stick with the same supplier for a longer time. So long-term strategic partnerships and vendors can be transactional and short-term. The role in procurement. So suppliers critical for production planning and vendors critical for sales and distribution. So these are the more in-depth points which differentiates suppliers and vendors in the market. Now let's see what is the difference between purchasing and procurement because both are different. So purchasing. Let's see the definition first. Purchasing is about buying the goods and services. So it can be directly from the vendors or it can be directly from the company itself. So buying goods or the services or information, even buying information from the companies, not directly or indirectly. So that's called purchasing. Procurement on the other side, it's a strategic resourcing and acquiring of the raw materials of the base products for production. The scope of purchasing is very narrow because it only focuses on buying. So the only focus is make the consumers buy the product, buy the services. So that's very narrow. Whereas procurement is broad because it includes planning and supply of the management, supply management. Then third one is focus. Focus criterion, it's price, quantity, and delivery. So what usually we see as a consumer is price of the product. So for that particular price, how much quantity I can buy and how it's going to be delivered to me. So this is the main aspect we usually see when we are purchasing a product. But from the company, when they are procuring a product, they see the value, quality, of course, cost as well. So all these criteria, that is the quality of the product, cost of the product, the value it holds. That is no like value is no like everything. Procuring cost and the transportation, how it's being transported, the relationship between the person who is more like giving the materials and the company which is procuring the product. So everything matters there. Nature. Purchasing is transactional and procurement is a strategic one. Strategy, why? Because there should be a proper plan, there should be a clear, like a blueprint kind of a thing before you select the right supplier for procuring the products. Uh, you cannot just like you cannot go with procuring product from any supplier. Just like that, a company cannot do it. So they have to do a proper research in the market, select the right kind of the supplier, and know like who gives the right quality product at the right time, frequently. Whenever your company is requiring it, they should be ready to know like supply whichever quantity you are asking it. They should be ready to supply, and the cost should be negotiable for you. There is no like between the supplier and your company. So it is completely strategic, whereas purchasing is completely transactional. Activities. So POs, purchase orders, receipts, and payments. Usually, when we buy a product, what do we get? Like they send it when they are sending it, there will be a purchase order. They create a purchase order. When we are ordering the product, immediately the company, the retailer, creates a purchase order, and the receipts and payments. Usually, those are the activities or the documents involved in purchase. When it comes to procurement, it's supplier selection, contracts, and complaints. We normally don't sign contracts when we are buying a product, but the company signs a contract with the suppliers, especially with the uh, person who know from whom the products are being procured. Time frame. Purchasing is short term and procurement is a long term. Objective, purchasing fulfill immediate needs and procurement optimize the supply chain. So finally, like we have a example, buying laptops for employees, it's a purchasing. Not only laptops, buying any kind of like product, domestic product or whatever, like any IT products or everything, like that's completely purchasing. Procurement is selecting vendors for a long term. So these are the difference between purchasing and procurement. Now, let's see about like what is a vendor contract management. So it's a process of creating, executing, and overseeing agreements with vendors to ensure performance, compliance, and mutual value. First one is contract creation. When creating a contract between your company and the vendor, so there should be like a detailed information has to be there. So drafting detailed, clear agreement outlining scope, pricing, timeline, deliveries, the responsibility, that is whose responsibility is what, up to which limit, transportation, who is going to take care of it, whether your company or the vendor, and packaging, who's going to take care, whether it's your company or the vendor. So these responsibilities, who's going to share which responsibilities, that should be clearly mentioned in the contract, especially insurance. When you are like purchasing products or sending the products to the vendors, so insurance has to be taken if your product is moving out of the country. The insurance is a very important factor. So the contract, in the contract, it should be clearly mentioned who is going to take responsibility of paying the insurance. Because if something happens to the goods while it is being transported, so the claim amount, the person who has paid the insurance will be getting the claim amount. So for that reason, insurance, like that has to be mentioned. Then negotiation, reaching mutual terms that are fair, feasible, and aligned with business objectives. Approval and execution, formal sign off by authorized parties, ensuring legal validity and documentation. So a contract is not just if it is a contract between a company, an enterprise, and a vendor, another agency or another business. Definitely, there would be a third party, a legalized third party's involvement will be there. So, as a witness, they have to sign the document. So, it's not just the the parties or which are involved in the business is going to be mentioned in the document, mentioned in the contract, but also there will be some legal witness which will be like mentioned in the document. Then performance monitoring, tracking KPIs, SLAs, and adherence to agreed terms throughout the contract length. In compliance management, ensuring the vendor adheres to legal, regulatory, and ethical standards. They should follow all the legal and ethical standards which is prescribed by the government or the legal authorities, whichever authorities, like whoever, environmental authorities or whoever it is, they have to stick on to it. Amendments and updates, managing changes in scope, pricing, or timelines through formal revisions. If there is any update, if there is any amendment, if it is related to the product or related to any other factor, transportation or packaging, value adding, whatever it is, like there should be a formal revision. This contract is not a rigid one. Formal revision can happen. Then issue resolution, handling disputes, delays, or breaches through predefined processes. So in case there is a delay in the supply of the product, so who's going to bear the responsibility of that? So that has to be clearly mentioned in the contract. And finally, renewal or termination. So what is the contract period? So by which date the contract starts and by which date the contract ends? And on what clauses that this contract can be terminated? If either of the party has not adhered to the the points which is mentioned in the document, yes, the contract becomes a nullified one. It can be terminated. So that has to be clearly mentioned in the document. So all these information has to be mentioned and it has to be certified by a legal officer or a person or an agency or a company or government which is authorized to make the contract. That is not to sign the contract. So contract between the enterprise and the vendor should have all these components. So what is the object of managing the vendor contract? So it ensures vendor accountability, not only for vendor, but for your enterprise as well. So your enterprise is also accountable for few things with the vendor, right? So ensure vendor enterprise accountability, reduce the risk and cost overruns, because the blaming part will not be there. Okay, fine. If there is a contract mentioned, everything is is in the contract. If something negatively happens, there will not be blaming, right? There will not be enterprise blaming the vendors and vendors blaming the enterprise. So that will not happen, because in the contract, each party's responsibility will be clearly mentioned. Maintain service quality and strengthen vendor enterprise relationships. Now there are types of vendor contracts. The first type is fixed price contract. So here the price will not change at all. Till the contract period ends, the price will be fixed. Whether it is for one lot of goods, or whether it is for one unit of good, or whether per piece or whatever it is, or per component or whatever it is. So for the entire project, till the entire supply is met, the price will not change at all. So what is the advantage? Predictable cost, because cost can be predicted, but the disadvantage is risk for the vendor if cost increases. They have imagine the vendor has purchased from your company at piece rate system. So per piece the vendor has purchased for say 10 rupees per piece. Now, after procuring the product from your company manufacturing zone for transportation and for warehousing, for packaging, the vendor has spent 12 rupees. So 2 rupees extra. So cost has increased. By the time vendor has moved it to the market, the total cost has increased. So in that case, it's a loss to the vendor, right? So risk for the vendor if the cost increases. Second type is cost reimbursement contract. The buyer reimburses actual cost incurred plus a fee or profit margin. So in this contract, even if there is a price fluctuation, The vendor can get the difference in the price, that is the 2 rupees per piece. So that can be like asked from the company, and the company can pay to the vendor. So that can be done. So there is a flexibility in scope that can be seen as the advantage. Risk for the buyer if cost spiral. Spiral in the sense if the cost goes down, then again it is the risk for the vendor, because that vendor has purchased 10 rupees per piece. So now the cost has gone down. So in that case the the seller, that is your company, will be asking, because your company will be meeting the risk, right? So in that case, uh, the buyer will be at the risk, because the company will be asking from the buyer. Time and materials contract, that is a third type, based on actual time spent and materials used. Say for next 3 months or for 2 months or for the upcoming season. So if there is a contract, so based on the actual time spent and based on the materials used, this contract is valid. And the advantage is ideal for short-term or evolving projects. That is for short-term projects. For example, now the upcoming season, maybe like next season it would be most probably I don't know, like maybe Diwali or Puja holidays or whatever it is in India especially. So upcoming season is like that one. So for the upcoming season, now the company now is like almost April end, the May month is going to start. So May, June, July, August, yes, almost yeah, Onam celebration is coming, yes. So Onam is the upcoming season. And so we have, the companies have only 3 months to procure goods, produce the goods, and keep it in advance in the market, right? They should be ready before the Onam starts, at least a month before the Onam starts. So yes, now based on that particular season, it's time frame, right? So time and materials. So actual time spent, it is for 3 months or 4 months, the contract is valid. So advantage is ideal for short term, but the disadvantage is less cost control. Cannot control the cost. Now the fourth type is unit price contract. Payment is based on agreed rates per unit of work delivered. Per unit, how much work has been done for per unit? That is producing one unit. How much money has been spent? What was the cost involved? So per unit it's based. And so this type of contracts, advantages, useful when quantities are variable. If the quantities vary, yes, it's an advantage, but disadvantages, total cost may fluctuate. It may fluctuate. And the last type is master service agreement, which is the best type of contract a company can can. A broad contract framework covering multiple projects or processes, purchases. That is not limiting to only to the upcoming season, or not limiting to a particular time period, not limiting to particular what do you say, no unit price or no piece rate, whatever it is. It's not, there is no limitation at all. According to the season, according to the upcoming seasons, or according to the price fluctuations, the contract changes in the contract can be made. That's called master service agreement. So multiple projects or purchases. Advantages, saves time on repeated negotiation. So every time negotiation is acceptable, and whenever the negotiation is happening and both the parties, that is the vendors and your company, has agreed to few things, you can add it in the contract, edit the contract whenever it is necessary. And disadvantages, needs detailed scope documents for each task. For each and every task, or for each and every editing, you need to have some detailed scope documents. So this is the only disadvantage, but it's for generally for the companies who are into vendor management, it's better to have this master service agreement. It's a type of a contract. Next one is service level agreement. SLAs defines service standards, metrics, and penalties for non-compliance. The advantages ensures quality and accountability. So it's not like the amount of service which the company provides, or the vendor provides to the company, or the vendor provides to the consumers. Based on that, the contract is. The only disadvantages is requires clear measurable criteria, because service, it can be measured only with the feedback. Other things. If it is a product, it can be measured with the sales, number of units sold, for which price it is sold. Everything can be measured. But for service, in the case of service, or in the case of passing on the information, if the say information sales, the only data you can get back, that is not like measurable criteria you can get back, is the feedback from the consumers. That is the only criteria you require. And framework agreement is a long-term contract with general terms used for recurring orders. No, like continuous orders, no, like the vendor is no, like continuously purchasing or procuring from your company for a long term. So for them, framework agreement is good. So the advantage is flexible and scalable, and the only disadvantage is needs stronger vendor relationship management. That is, your company should have a very strong business relationship with the vendor for a longer term. That is, both parties should believe in each other. Finally, we have come to the key takeaway. So what did we learn in this vendor management topic? That is, no, like whatever we have discussed. So what did we learn? So effective vendor management is indispensable for successful supply chain operations. It involves selecting the right partners, fostering relationships, and continuously evaluating performance. So for this, initially, previously, like there were many criteria, many strategies were followed. Basically, the trust was the only factor, which was seen as a main factor when it comes to business relationships between a vendor and the company, between a vendor and the enterprise. So trust was always there. But as we know, like the industrialization happened, and like more and more, wherever the trust was breached, so it was necessary for the enterprise as well as like for the vendors to have a general, a general factor on which they can rely on, so that like the relationships can last longer. So for that, we have like now technology is helping to build a strong vendor enterprise relationship. We have like CRM, we have ERP softwares for that reason. We have this the best what I have worked on is for best vendor management. I have worked in Microsoft 365 Dynamics. So that is the best software I can say. Though other software also are available, I have worked in Microsoft 365 Dynamics. So I have seen, though I was not like overlooking, I was not overseeing this vendor management thing. I have heard about like how this vendor management through this that particular application, like it works miracles for the organization as well as for the vendors. So use of technology, implementing the technology to build stronger vendor enterprise relationship. It's always like it's good. If you're implementing, if your company has implemented that, it's well and good. So by implementing best practices in vendor management, organizations can achieve strategic objectives, improve the efficiency in supply chain, logistics, retail management, and everything, and drive growth. So drive growth in the sense growth for mutual party, that is for both the parties, vendors as well as the organization. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. So I'll be here for next say 2 minutes. If you want, you can know, like if you have any doubts, you can ask me. I'll be here for 2 more minutes.
Can you repeat draft of vendor contract, please?
Vendor contract.
Yeah, FPC.
Types of vendor contract, yes?
Yes, please, right.
Okay. So fixed price contract, it's no like for us, fixed price for a particular project. It is only for a particular season. It's not a long-term relationship. It's a short-term contract. Cost reimbursement contract, it's for if there is a price fluctuation, then here the vendor can negotiate the fluctuation and they can ask for the money they have, they feel that like it's going to be a loss for them. So that's cost reimbursable contract. Then time and materials contract, it's based on the actual time spent for procuring, transporting, and warehousing and selling the products, and the materials used, whatever materials are used for packaging or transporting and everything. Unit price contract is based on rates per unit. So selling and moving a product, warehousing per unit. So based on unit price, that is a per unit of the product. So that is unit price contract. Then master service agreement, it's not for multiple projects. If the company is focusing on multiple projects, so master service agreement, master service contract is the best one. Service level agreements, it's not for the product, but for the service. That is, it can be an information, like a service is a kind of information, right? Which is being given by the these vendors to the consumer, which comes along with the product, or the product itself may be the service. So in that case, service level agreement is a type of contract which can be signed by both the parties. And finally, framework agreement. So it's a long-term contract with the general terms used for the recurring orders. Recurring orders is there would be no demand in the market, and the company, the enterprise would be keep on supplying it through these vendors. For that kind of companies, if they want to have a long-term relationship with the vendors, a good business relationship, they can go for framework assessment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so if there is no doubts, then we can know
Which contract is most useful?
sorry.
Which contract is most useful?
It depends on the companies, what type of enterprise, it's there. I mean, as I said, if company is dealing only with seasoned products, they are not into a full-time supply of products in the market. They are dealing only with the seasoned product. That is, every year only for a particular season, they go on with the procurement, production, and selling of the product. In that case, fixed price contract is well and good, because it's only for one-time project, one-time season, right? But in case if the company is keep on supplying the products in the market, not only for particular season, but all throughout the year, they can go for framework agreement.
Okay.
Yeah. So each and every contract has a a unique way of helping the vendors as well as the enterprises. So it depends on the type of enterprise. What type of enterprise? So how frequently they are supplying the products to the market, and what type of products they are supplying. Whether it's for what do you say, a lot of goods, or a lot, or whether it's for per unit price or per unit product, whatever it is. So it depends on the company. So the company's strategic team, or the marketing team, or the procurement purchasing team, they will decide on this, and they will suggest this to their top management. So on the top management's approval, they will go with the right kind of contract with the vendor. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'll see you in another session. Thank you and have a good weekend. Great weekend. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.